This is Henry Truck with Equities.com. I'm here today with Bill Needham, President and CEO of CryoMedix. Bill, thank you for joining us. And your company has a very unique technology in terms of the healthcare medical field. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. First of all, CryoMedix is the use of freezing temperatures to basically ablate nerves or tissue in the body. The technology has been around for over 20 years. There's over tens to hundreds of thousands of cases being done a year, but it's primarily done in the prostate for cancer, lung, liver, and bone. What we've developed over the last 6 years is a new way to create the cold power, and such that we can go anywhere in the body where these current technologies are limited, because we've been able to harness the use of liquids. Those liquids allow us to create ablation zones in the heart, in the renal artery, and opens up a significant number of multi-billion-dollar markets for us.
So in terms of cryoablation, you said that the technology has been around for decades, but it hasn't been able to address the markets that you're addressing. Can you tell us about those and how your product has been able to do what others can't?
Yeah, and again, CryoMedix is creating cold by the use of liquids. And this is kind of the holy grail in that liquids contain much more density than gases. And so therefore we can provide much more cooling power in the face of hot blood. So we're able to go into a beating heart, which currently is served by radiofrequency heat, where they make spots. We're able to go in and make a transmural linear lesion, thereby in one fell swoop of about 1 minute to 2 minutes of freezing, you can stop the irregular heartbeat, where the heat companies have to go spot by spot by spot. Their current procedure takes 4 to 10 hours. Ours take under 2 hours, and have an efficacy over 90%. Another example of the use of the technology is in hypertension. We can go in to the right front of the kidney, the renal artery, and we freeze to basically block or disconnect the nerves that go from the kidney to the brain, because for 1/3 of the people in the world, which is about 75 million people in the U.S. and 1 billion worldwide, they have hyperactive nerves. So no matter what they do from a diet perspective and everything else, they unfortunately have these hyperactive nerves, which we can sever effectively by freezing them and killing them, and thereby immediately restoring their blood pressure to normal temperatures.
So in terms of, obviously the market potential for your target end markets are very enormous. Do you have a scope or a handle on the scope of that?
Yeah. For example, the hypertension company, market I should say, has the first company that was acquired by Medtronic about a year ago, called Ardian. It was acquired for $1.3 billion shortly after they completed just first in man. They're still 3 to 4 years away from FDA approval in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And so we for example, there's 3 million people in the U.S. walking around with irregular heartbeats. And again, there's 300,000 procedures being done a year, but they still see that as an underserved market, because the doctors don't want to use the current tools, because they only have about a 57% efficacy rate.
Right.
And so, again, we've identified 9 major markets. Breast tumors is another market, and coronary artery disease is another one. Peripheral vascular disease, where we can avoid or eliminate the need for stents, because we can go in and chill the artery and eliminate the restenosis.
Mm-hmm. And is your product currently on the market?
No, that's a great question. We've been in existence for about 6 years. We've submitted to the FDA, so we expect here shortly to have a number of indications, like for women's breast tumors, ENT applications, aesthetics indications here shortly, based on predicate devices. But for some of the major cardiovascular markets, we'll have to go back to the FDA with a clinical study, 100 to 300 patients, and get those expanded approvals.
Right. And then the way you plan to tackle these different markets is very unique. Can you talk about that?
Sure. That's a good point, because what we've created is a platform technology that allows us to use, whether it's a needle, a balloon, or a catheter, to create the freezing in the body, and therefore we're identifying separate management teams for each company. One for hypertension, one for heart arrhythmias, etc. So we can have a focused management team. They'll take the core technology, customize it slightly, address their market needs, which are all kind of unique, and go to market. This also allows us the ability to have multiple sales of the separate companies and address multiple markets.
I like that, because you basically have teams that know their industry very well, despite selling more or less the same core product.
Right, exactly. But again, they customize it, and another feature we have is the ability to have a feedback system. So the machine can be automated, so it allows a doctor to consistently get good clinical results, which is obviously very critical for doctors that may only use the procedure once every 2 weeks or so. But the importance is these CEOs that we've hired in their management teams are experts in their field. They know the market, they know the physicians, they know the customer needs, and we can focus better than if we try to do it all under one umbrella.
So in order to implement your strategy in terms of financing, how are you guys right now?
We've raised about $1.5 million over the last couple of years. We funded ourselves, obviously, for the first several years until we had animal studies to prove that it was viable. But now we're looking to raise $12 million through a Series B round to basically commercialize the first 4 market indications, which is hypertension, heart arrhythmias, women's breast tumors, and aesthetics.
Now, for people who are interested in the company and what you're doing, how can they get more information?
We've got a website that's www.CryoMedix.com, which is CryoMedix.com.
Wonderful. Bill, any additional closing comments or anything that's vital that we haven't touched on?
Again, I think the key thing is that it's technology that the doctors are all well aware of. They've used it in, again, more of these niche areas. The other key thing is there's no new training required by the physicians to do these procedures. So they're all familiar with balloons and catheters, and so, again, that makes it easier to get into the market and quicker.
Wonderful. Bill Neidham, that's CryoMedix. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for watching.